So morphin constraints, they're pretty straightforward. So constraints are all over here under this constraint menu. Whoops, make sure I'm showing my pencil again. Okay, so this constraint menu here, usually when I'm doing constraints, I'll often pin this because you're diving in and out of it quite a lot. So the main one you'll probably be doing will be IK constraints and spring constraints, and I'll show some of the others. So for IK, which is this first one here, you choose the bone, which is going to be the end of the IK, and you make that the effector. And usually with legs, it's almost always with legs. I'll check auto create pole and link to target, and then I'll go apply. And so what that'll do is it'll make me a new controller, and I can move that, and I get IK. What this auto create pole option has done is it's made this thing here. So this is basically an extra control for the knee, which will determine where the knee will try and point to. So you can see as I move that around, the knee tries to twist to point to it. What it's done is that is a child of this node here. So I can rotate this one, and you see that the knee moves with it, which is quite handy. It's pretty common for doing sort of walk cycles and stuff. So that's all pretty straightforward. You can also see that the this box that it's made, it's bigger than the foot. You can adjust that pretty easily. So if I go into the outliner and go down to where the IK control has been made and look below it, you'll find this defaults controller. So if I choose that one, so that is the actual shape itself. I can change the scale of that. So I can make that a bit smaller this way. I can even turn it if I want. And that's only updated the handle. So now if I click something else and then click back, that's now a much tidier handle for that shape, which is pretty handy. You've also got a few different other kinds of constraints. So there's look at, position, rotation, spring, and path. I've only really played with spring and look at, but the idea is the same amongst all of them really. So let's say, for example, we wanted this character's head to look at the foot. So what we do is with this thing pinned, again, it's easier if you keep this many pinned. We say, what is the source of the animation? So what is it going to be looking at? And it's going to be this foot. So we'll tap in the plus to say this is the source. And then we can choose the head, and you can see that it shows you here what this is going to apply to. And if you want, you can even open up these more options, and you've got options to say which way it's going to aim and how much of it. So what can work quite nicely here is if I make the weight lower, so say like 0.5 or so, roughly. Let's go to 0.5, yeah. And we're going to keep the offset. So it doesn't immediately snap to it, but whatever its current orientation is, it'll try and sort of maintain that separation. Now when I hit apply, now if I move the foot, you'll see that the head tries to look at it a little bit, which is pretty handy. If you want to remove the constraint, you can choose it again, make sure that these options are as they were when you created it, and you can hit remove, and it should be removed. It doesn't always work, but usually it does. The really fun one to do, which I'm loving lately, is the spring constraints. So if I say choose the neck, and I go across to the spring constraints, make that where the spring will start from, and you set these properties. So find setting the stiffness down just a little bit, so maybe like 0.7 or so, 0.9 would be fine, and a bit of gravity, and then apply, and you see it starts to sag. And what's quite cool is that if I animate something else, you'll see that it has this kind of springiness to it. I can apply that onto other things. So I'm going to make, say, the arm also have a bit of this, and I'm going to set it so that all three joints are affected by the spring. So that now is sort of floppy. And what's quite cool is that if I have some animation, which I do here, so if I turn this this Mixamo clip back on again, you'll see that that's now added on top of the animation, which is pretty cool. And that's constraints.